Alright, today, if you guys are watching this video, that means you're probably interested to see what this thing actually does and what it is and etc. and how to install it. So that's what I'm going to give you. This is from TurboTime Performance. You can go to turbotimeusa.com. Right there's the address. And yeah, this stuff's all made in USA, blah blah blah. The only thing that isn't is actually these pieces right here. They are made in China. What this is exactly what it sounds like. This is basically a vacuum gauge that you put in line with your intake, so that way you can see how much velocity the turbo is actually pulling. What this ultimately does is make sure that your air filter isn't plugged, etc. You know, you're not straining your turbo to you know, putting excessive wear on it, more or less. Long story short, this thing goes to the yellow. Definitely start looking into either A, an intake, or B, replacing your air filter. So I'm going to show you guys how to install this thing. And so far out of the box, we have our gauge, obviously the most important part. Open this thing up here. We have a mounting bracket. Okay. And some hose. Alright, so we got some plenty of length of hose. And bag. Okay. Take the box, throw that in the woods. Looks like we got a pair of studs and nuts for the back of this thing. Hose obviously goes on here, and then one of these barbed fittings. Well, this barbed fitting, I already did the hard part. Took that thing, put it in the digital caliper, came up with 0.38, so 3/8. So I got myself a 3/8 drill bit here and a drill. And I also got myself the same thread pitch as that, which is a 3/8 by 24. Or next step we're going to do is go out to the truck, get that thing ready to go. So that way we can put that in. Which out here lies is 2005 F350 6-liter. And so here we got our intake. This thing is already half apart for us already because I started this process. And anyway, so what we want to do is here's our filter, obviously, and then here's our intake. Down there is our turbo, which is a GX7 Predator Velocity series. Definitely recommend checking these things out. Side note, I've had this on a truck with stock injectors. Did great and sounded awesome, to say the least, which is why I put that one on. And then also I had it on a truck with 190/75 injectors, and it did great. Sounded awesome, spooled pretty quick. That truck was a manual also, and did really good, sounded insane. And then finally this truck, obviously, which is a 205/100 holder injector, full fuel system, blah 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 blah, all the typical good stuff. And yeah, it does really well. Sounds awesome. There's no other whistle the way these things put it out. It's awesome. Anyway, so what my plan is here, my plan of attack is I'm gonna go ahead and drill myself a hole somewhere in this general location, nice and probably over here. Anyway, since I was so rudely interrupted, it actually gave me a chance to go get some stuff and bring it out here. So what I'm going to do now is I got my drill out here and all the other stuff that I need. So this is my next step in line here. I'm going to put my hole right here, about an inch above the original you know, filter checker apparatus. So you know, if you want to, you can either A, take off this clamp, pull the air filter and this thing out of your way, and that'll give you some more room to work with. I'm not going to do that currently because I don't have that kind of time at this very second. And yeah, so anyway, I'll go ahead and drill a hole in this thing and then show you what I'm going to do from there. Okay, so now that you have your hole drilled, right there, about, like I said, about an inch. Now that that's drilled, you take your tap, which I just ran through there, and you run that in, get some fairly decent threads cut in. It's just plastic, so not really a huge deal. And take that, thread that in by hand to start, and get yourself an 11mm socket, and go ahead, work your way on, and make sure your ratchet's on lefty loosey, righty tighty. And then you'll see this thing poke up through. You can use thread sealer. This is plastic, so I'm not going to. My advice isn't the best though, but I'm not going to use it because this is plastic and it's threading in fairly tightly, so good enough for me. Okay, so there you go. That's bottomed out in there now. You know, don't kill it. You know, you don't have to tighten it down to 100 foot-pounds or anything like that. You know, it's just, you don't have to use your entire body force for it. Next step we have is going to be our red hose, which I recommend doing this before you start the hose project or any of this. Make sure you have a hole in your firewall somewhere or another, which you do. It's just finding a decent location for it to go through, which I already have that hole right there. In my case, it's where a slave cylinder would be, and I have a whole bunch of wires jammed through it for my fuel system and fans and etc. leading into the fuse panel. So anyway, take this thing, go ahead and push this, which it is very tight fit. Go ahead, push that all the way on as far as you can. Pro tip, if you can't get it on, you don't have the power in you, use either a heat gun or a lighter or even a blow dryer. Just gently heat up this plastic and it will slide right on perfectly. So okay, next step, take this hose, as we talked about, get to the end of it. I'm going to feed this down through that hole, which is going to be next to impossible holding the camera. So get this thing down there and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so now that you've got your hose inside, obviously, depending on where you'd like to locate this this gauge, which you will need a 2.5-inch drill bit to accommodate, you know, hole saw bit. You can either put it in, you know, trucks that don't have a four-wheel drive you know, automatic transfer case. They can go right here in your dummy plate, and they'd look great. That's one option, obviously. Or, you know, the other spot is over here. If you don't have any switches, it would fit perfect as well. You know, or I've seen a lot of people with different things down here where they make their own gauge panels, etc. You know, that's really up to you on where you want to put it. In my case, in this situation, I'm actually getting rid of the current truck I'm in, so it's going to be going into my new truck, which I do not have at this very moment in time. So I'm just going to loosely mount it in here. Our next step is to get this onto here on this end, which Alright, now that you made it to this part, in your case it'll look a lot prettier than this, but like I said, I'm not keeping this truck. It's actually going in my new truck, but I just want to get a quick video for you guys, that way everyone can see how this is done. Fairly easy process overall, for sure. You know, and alright, I guess the last thing to do is test it out. So go ahead and fire up the truck. Let's do a quick rev. That's kind of cool. I guess up the street and see what happens. You don't need a parking brake. Well, that's a good thing. Mine's not in the red there, so that's a plus. Like I said, guys, this is on a truck with 205 100s. It's a 2006. I'm sorry, yeah, 2005 F350 Ford 6.0. This truck has the GX7 Predator Velocity Turbo, and a set of 205 100 Holder injectors, and it runs great, absolutely great. And I mean, as I told you guys about that turbo whistle, I'll let you hear it from with the windows down. Yeah, it sounds awesome. Everywhere I go, everybody's like, "Oh, is that a 10 blade?" Yeah, but it's not what you think it is. So it's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I guess just for the heck of it, we'll do a boost and then some velocity and see what we got. Oh yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, guys, when you guys go to buy one of these things at checkout, last but not least, make sure you use the code GetItGarage. You'll save a little bit of money on it, and all your turbos that you order, you know, obviously you'll save some money on too, and you're helping me out build some of my dream trucks. So I would really, really appreciate it.